We're going to start with Dontea. She is daughter number 3.
I felt like you were gonna get off my back and give me some space, and I was gonna have more freedom. But then that didn't happen, and I was just like the in-home babysitter.
What types of pressures did I have on you?
Slept in your bed until you got married, and wore your lingerie to bed as my pajamas.
Yeah. I really did put a lot of pressure on her, and I wanted it to be different. I didn't want her to be exposed to the things that her 2 sisters had been exposed to.
Like, I'll never forget that.
To mom.
Yeah, it's the first time I'm hearing about it on YouTube. Don't call me girl because I'm not your friend.
Hello, and welcome back for another episode of They Just Don't Understand, hosted by Nina Mitchell. Now, some of you guys have asked me to have an interview, have all my daughters together and interview them as far as how was it like growing up with one another and with me as their mom. So until I'm able to do that, we're going to start with Dontea. She is daughter number 3. And we're going to just have a casual conversation back and forth, different questions of how it was with her growing up as the 3rd child, how it was with her she was the baby until for about 12 years, I think, when Aja came along. Yeah. So she was the baby for a long time. So let's start there. How did it feel when Aja was born and you had that baby position?
Well, when the oldest daughter told me that you were pregnant, I was excited because I must have been probably 11, maybe 11. So when she told me you were pregnant, I was excited because I felt like you were gonna get off my back and give me some space, and I was gonna have more freedom because I know how much you love babies. But then that didn't happen, and I was just like the in-home babysitter. So that's how that came about.
Okay, so now speaking of all the pressure that was on you, what types of pressures did I have on you growing up?
It was very clear that I had to be stellar. I had to be together. I had to not be wild. I had to get straight A's. I had to know your thoughts. I had to anticipate your every move to make sure I don't embarrass you. I just had to be perfect, because when I came along, Monique wasn't really in the house. I don't really remember her when I was young.
Monique had moved out.
Yeah, and then there was Kanika, who was usually out hanging out with friends. So it was just me and you. But I didn't feel the pressure until maybe late elementary. Because before then, you were my best friend. We'd take photos. I'd always want to spend time with you. I slept in your bed until you got married. You wore your lingerie to bed as my pajamas.
Yes.
So, that didn't come until later. But I knew when it was coming because you were making sure to ask me all the time, what did I want to be when I grew up and that I was going to college and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
So what she's referring to basically is her older sisters being out of the house, and as we get to the point where I interview Monique, Monique's the oldest child, and she's been around, of course, the longest, and she's known me better than all of the rest, and so therefore she had kind of left home. And Kanika, the second daughter, was a teenager, and she was doing sports and doing her thing. And if you've seen some of the past episodes, I was exposing my dark secrets, and I still have more to expose. When Dontea was born, I was changing. I really did put a lot of pressure on her, and I wanted it to be different. I didn't want her to be exposed to the things that her 2 sisters had been exposed to. I wanted her to, and she's right. And I didn't know this, and that's why I'm liking this conversation, because I did want her to be perfect. By that time, I had enrolled in college, and I was getting an education and, getting my degrees. And then she came along, and I wanted her to have a different start. But sometimes that had a different effect, as we'll get into, because like she said, I wanted her to be perfect. I wanted her to get straight A's. I wanted to be in her life more than I was in the other 2's life. So it really put a damper on it. Not a damper, but it changed the dynamic of our relationship. So give us an example of one of the things that kind of put you in a place to where you felt pressured by me growing up.
An example. I can't pull out like a, oh, no, I can't.
Oh, here it comes.
Bless it,
Here it comes.
When I was learning how to drive, like, I'll never forget that. I think I still have, like, invisible scars from that. So, basically, learning how to drive, you know, I did go to driver's ed, and we had a practice. And we were probably not too far from here. And I had to do the thing where you have to back the car around the curve. And I guess I don't even know. Because when you start taking over, I think I just kind of like freeze. I panic and I freeze. Because you don't know what's about to happen. Like, are you about to get like hit? Are you about to just get yelled at? You don't know. So I'm just like, but you just grab the wheel like, you're supposed to do it like this. And I was like, whoa, okay. Which makes you feel as this person who's already nervous enough to be on the road with other cars. And I was like, your mom's upset with you because you're not doing it right. But if I just have a second to think about how this thing is done, you know? So it just felt like constant pressure cooker. And if I didn't get it right, then something bad was going to happen to me, which then made me feel like I didn't know anything. Like constantly like doubting myself. So that's an example.
And some things I want parents to understand is, and that's why it's called They Just Don't Understand. Sometimes we put so much pressure on our children because we have high expectations that it can scar them. And it's like trauma, you know, in their adult life as they grow up. Because I know just by listening to her response that was traumatizing. You know, and I can tell you right now, I am not the best teacher to teach anyone how to drive. My youngest daughter, who we will interview another time, she started crying and it was just over for me. So I can admit that I'm not the one to teach anyone how to. I've been driving too long, so I don't know the rules anymore. I just drive. So Dontea, give me good. Let me see. Give me one of the happy times that you had with your sisters growing up. Either one. I want you to give me a happy situation with your oldest sister Monique, and then a happy situation with Kanika that you remember that really just, you know, made you guys bond. Or
yeah. Kanika, it's easier because Kanika was like my friend in the house for a few years until I got old enough to play with other people outside the house. But Kanika, we would like make paper boyfriends. Like we would cut out a paper guy and he'd like be our boyfriend. We would like always play TV, so she had a video camera that you got for her, and we did newscastings, we did all types of stuff. We did music videos a lot. Kanika was awesome. Like I always get emotional when I think about her because she meant so much to me.
Right.
And she's my favorite sister, and she always looked out for me. And she taught me so many things of life lessons that I still do to this day. At least I try to. With Aja.
With Monique.
I'm good there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. With Aja, I have a few now. One of my favorite memories that sticks out to me is we went out, her and I went downtown during the Christmas holidays a few years ago. And she's not as into Christmas as I am. And so I know she was just like doing it to just spend time with me. And we were having like a real moment. She was like, apologizing for certain behaviors when she was younger. I got a chance to apologize. We took some pictures by a tree, you know. It was just a cute moment, her and I. She let me tease her, she teased me, and that was nice. And so then with Monique, it's hard to place it because Monique and I didn't really spend a lot of one-on-one time together. It was usually like her and the kids or her and friends and stuff, but I'm trying to think.
I remember the time you shared your birthdays together. We went to Joey's.
Oh yeah, that was nice. But again, shared. Like there was other people there.
Right.
You know, but maybe one-on-one time. So people were still there, but it was Monique, her cousin, and someone's boyfriend, or maybe it was her boyfriend, I don't know. And Monique and I got into it earlier that day. Something happened. The point is, we went back to the house and we were trying to figure out if we were all going to go to the mall or not. But Monique and I, because we're so similar and then not.
They are very similar.
Because something happened, I was like, well, I'm not going to go. And then Monique's like, well, I'm not going to go if she doesn't go. And then she came into the room where I was and we had a conversation. I don't know what happened, but there was like tears. And then we were like, okay, we're going to go. And that was sweet because, I mean, I don't really get those moments with Monique. So that's what stands out to me. Yeah,
so it's funny because out of the 4 daughters, daughter number 1, which is Monique, and daughter number 3, which is Dontea, they are very similar in ways. Daughter number 2, which is Kanika, and daughter number 4, which is Aja, they are too similar in their ways. So it's funny to me sometimes to see the characteristics of my daughters and then see the characteristics of part of me coming out in them. And like Dontea said, Monique was pretty much out of the home a lot. She had gotten married and she was doing her own thing. And so Dontea came up. She wasn't really around that much, was she?
No, not really.
Yeah. So therefore there was that distance, you know. So anyway, with all that being said, you know, we're working on bringing us all together. Not that we're apart or anything. We just all live in different states, and so for us to come together, our schedules are very busy, and you know. So one day, to the person that requested that have all my daughters, you know, come together and talk, because that would be hilarious. Because I would learn some things that I don't know. But we're going to talk more to Dontea about the things that, how she felt about me as her mother growing up, and give us some experiences about even when we moved to Atlanta.
Growing up, I mean, I always say this. I think you were a great mom in the way that you always showed up for us. Like, no matter what was going on, I knew if it was an emergency, I could depend on you. And I would say most of us are like that who can. I would say Monique's like that. I would say I'm somewhat like that. If I'm sleeping, you know.
Right.
I would definitely say Kanika's like that. So I knew I could always depend on you to handle things. If someone was bullying me, which happened a lot, you took care of it, or you sent one of the sisters. You just really cared. Like, you really cared. And I think your love language to us was like, I would show up in a crisis and like gift giving. And so like there was always an Easter basket. There was like Valentine's Day gifts. There was always Christmas presents and stuff like that. Knowing that we didn't always have it, but somehow you would make it happen. Me knowing now as an adult, like somehow you made that happen, obviously. But yeah, and then there are other memories as I gotten older that, again, back to perfectionism. Like, I learned that I couldn't have emotions, you know, and now as an adult I can say it's like both of our emotions couldn't be in the same space. Like someone had to have an emotion and it was going to be yours because you're the mom. And so then I would just silence myself. And I'd go to my room and I'd stay in my room all day to just like not get in the way. So there's a lot of just anxiety in the house. I think it's who I am. I never wanted to give up on our relationship because we had great moments together. And then there's just go down in flames and we like come back together with the embers burning, like, so that kind of stuff. You always encourage me to reach higher. You're the reason that I went to Australia for 3 weeks, that I lived in London, that I lived in Costa Rica, that I did all these things. You know, I got the scholarship, and
you got the Millennium Scholarship where her college tuition was paid full ride at Spelman. Yeah. She was the only one who got a full ride scholarship from Washington High School in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah. So that's what I remember.
Yeah, and to talk about like our relationship coming up. When I was growing up, I grew up to whereas that children were seen and not heard, and I grew up in a total different generation. And I said that when I have kids, I'm not going to do that to them. But then a part of me, it did, because I would say things like, do as I say, not as I do. And I didn't let them have a voice. And then a little later on in life, I let you guys kind of tell me how you felt. But to be truthful and to be transparent, I always felt I was right. And they was young and they couldn't tell me anything. They couldn't teach me anything. Like my dad used to say, the man who raised me is, a young girl can't teach him anything but how to spell a big word. So that's about all I thought they could teach me. So, you know, it was a times where I had to step back and really see who I was. And, you know, not being the mom saying I'm always right. And I had to step back and say, well, you know, they do have a point. And, you know, I need to listen. And that took some time. That took some growing in me. To do that as well, you know, because at one time I didn't want to hear anything. You know, whatever I said goes. And that was it. And I didn't want to hear anything else. You know, do as I say, not as I do, and all of that. So, you know, we have come a long way, you know, because truthfully, I wasn't a helicopter mom, but I did like for the events to be at my place so I can keep an eye on everything. I just they couldn't call me crying. They couldn't call me in distress because I'm that one that kicked doors in and that type of thing. And so, you know, I've chilled out a whole lot. I mean, I can't afford to go to jail. I'm too scared to go to jail. Don't want to go to jail. Don't want any smoke from anybody. You know, so I just had to, you know, let go and let God just, you know, create a new creature inside of me, you know, and now I stop and I listen and I'm able to have a conversation with all of them.
Yeah.
You know, regardless to where they're at, I'm able to have a conversation. Now I listen and I take in consideration what you're saying, and I don't get so hot-headed and say, well, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
No.
Now I'm able to treat them as the young women that they are. You know, so I appreciate Dontea. She's been here for how many days? See, we can't even count anymore.
A week.
She's been here for a week and everything has been going so smooth. It seems like it's always been peaceful here, but it seems like you just brought more peace.
I get that a lot.
You know, just taught me, kind of helped me to just kind of feel like it's okay to lay around and, you know, and not do anything. It's okay because I'm really very active because I have a lot of things going on, but I still need to learn how to sometimes just take a breather and just relax and be okay with it and know that it's not that I'm being lazy, it's just that I need to recharge.
Yeah.
And watching you recharge, it's like, oh my gosh, it is okay to recharge.
Yeah.
I really do like that. Yeah.
I mean, it's something kind of new that I'm practicing because I felt like I literally thought my body was going to leave me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like I was working too hard, doing too much, and I just had this feeling one day where it was like, your body's going to leave you.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, not like I'm going to die, but mean like maybe my organs will shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll develop insomnia. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like your body can only do so much.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm running it to the ground every day, how long can I expect it to really support me?
That's true. And that's with all of us too.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we've talked about the little fluffy stuff. Let's talk about some of the some bad experiences, some bad coincidences that happened between you or any of your sisters that you may wish that hadn't happened, or that you need resolving, or something that that can be repaired. Do you know what I'm getting at? Just something that maybe you have done that you wish you hadn't done or said, or wish you hadn't said, or something like that.
More so with Aja, I would say, because she's like the youngest. I kind of helped like raise her at a certain point in life.
And what do you mean by you helped raise her?
Like, you know, when we were in Atlanta, you were going through your own things. You know, like I had to be there a lot. I had to like come home from college and watch her when I was in my master's program. Stuff was going on. She had to come to Valdosta a few times because you weren't providing emotional nurturance. I had to give that to her. So it was constantly talking to me about things, listening to her, and being there for her. While at the same time, I'm in college, you know, trying to figure that out. So that's what I mean by that.
And that's part of the darkest past, because some of that I don't remember. So when I discuss my other darkest past, I have a continuation to a video I'm putting out, and this is going to be probably during that time. Yeah.
You were still operating, but you were a little checked out. On top of when Grandma and Grandpa passed, kind of back to back. That also, of course, sent you. You know, so understandably so. It was a hard time. Yeah,
my parents passed away 4 months and 4 days apart, and I just didn't know how to handle that. I'm the only child, so some of that part I don't even remember. So I rely on somewhat of my daughters telling me somewhat, because not saying that everything they say is totally accurate.
But a lot.
I'll
you can ask Aja.
Yeah.
She'll tell you.
Boy.
You know, Aja remembers everything. So she'll tell
I
me.
can remember stuff, but sometimes you kind of get to the little twisted, just a little bit, you know, just a tiny
I
bit.
don't know. She remembers things.
Yeah, just a tiny bit. So tell me something else about your other sisters other than Aja.
Things that I regret, I wish I didn't say.
Yeah, say or do.
Um,
Or is there something you wish you would have done different with your sisters, and what type of relationship? Do you wish you could have had with one or two or all, whatever?
of course, there are ways I wish that we would have gotten along. Like,
Yeah.
I wish Kanika and I would have spent more time together.
Mhm.
And I don't know how that would have been possible because when I was in college, she was overseas and then she got married. I mean, we were busier.
Yeah, she was in the military.
Yeah, then she doing her other lifestyle stuff. So I was just like, I don't know what could have changed there. For me, and this goes for most of my sisters, even on my dad's side, for me, I'm just a sensitive person. I have to talk about emotions at some point. I have to take the conversations deeper because that vulnerability helps me to connect. I have to bring it there. In our family, we like to keep it superficial a lot, and I'm just like, that's cute for a little bit for me. At some point, I'm like, hey, how does that make you feel? Or, hey, something you did, I didn't really like that. And hey, I'm really nervous about this thing I'm working on. These are all the fears that are coming up. And what I would get back is, oh, just believe in yourself, believe in God will be fine. And it's like, I really want to talk about more so of the fears and see if you could say anything else. So a lot of people in our family don't do that. I think there has been more of that lately. But for most of my life, I'm 34 this month, that has not been the case, which I then had to go outside the family and develop other family pods. But with Kanika, I wish I maybe would have been, I don't know if me saying, hey, I would like to talk about this. Maybe she would have understood it. I don't know. I don't know with that one. What I'll say about Kanika is I'm learning to accept where she's at. And I used to get really upset with her that she didn't want to talk to me for no longer than 5 or 10 minutes. And then I had to just be like, you know what? She doesn't want to talk to me for no longer than 5 or 10 minutes. That's what it is. You know, you didn't want to come over to my house. You would come and the car would still be running or you got something in the oven. So I was like, okay, my mom's gonna come to my house and visit me. Cool, whatever. I'll just take that need somewhere else. With Monique, I wish I would have set boundaries earlier. I wish I would have known boundaries earlier. I think that would have been helpful.
And what do you mean by boundaries with her? What type of boundaries would you have set with her?
Like, hey, I don't always want to be around the entourage when I hang out with you. Like, Monique, like, again, you know, her and I are so similar. Why wouldn't I want to be around that?
Yeah.
I always wanted to be around Monique when I was younger. Always. I think up until maybe 7 years ago, I've always wanted to be around her. Constantly. And I could just never have the one-on-one.
Because I think, like I said...
I didn't vocalize that.
Yeah, like I said, you two are so similar. Both of you guys want the spotlight, you know. It's hard for you two. What I've noticed is to be in the same room and the spotlight can't be on both. And so I feel, now this is my feeling, is that, like you said, you had to understand how to meet Kanika where she was, right? And that's what we all need to practice with each other.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are, where you're at. We have to meet people where they're at because we weren't always where we're at, and who knows where we'll end up.
Yeah.
You know, and so the thing with you and your older sister, Monique, is that it's meeting her or her meeting you where you're at and accepting, okay, this is the way she is. Okay, this is the way she is. And if you are in the same room, I know you guys can be cordial, of course, but don't compete for the limelight. Just have your own limelight. Have her own limelight. You know what I mean? And then the light will shine bright on everyone, you know? That's what I see. You know, it's just, you guys are so similar. Oh, so similar.
Yeah.
And another thing that Dontea responded on is about our family, like pushing things under the carpet. That had a lot to do with me and how I was raised. You know, my mother didn't tell me a lot, and maybe I didn't ask a lot of questions, but she was very private, and Monique even thinks I have secrets. I don't have secrets. I just don't, I'm very, I'm guarded about my business. I'm guarded about who I'm around, and I don't bring people around you guys until I know they're worthy of my time, first of all, and to be introduced to you. That's just the way it is. So now I just work. But regardless, but back to that is that, I'm almost losing my point on that. It's just that, we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that because I digressed off of that. But between you and Monique, it's just that everybody has to really accept where they're at, who they are, and accept each other for where they're at.
Yeah, and I think I've been able to do that now, which is why our relationship is what it is today.
Oh, okay. That's what I was saying. The DNA came from my mother having me being seen and not heard. So when I raised my children, I was like, okay, I didn't tell them a lot. But in a way, I did because they were like my best friends coming up. I would always tell them everything, especially when I was hurting or crying or in pain. I would tell you guys things that I probably shouldn't have told you. And you know, like you said, it was like sisters and stuff. And Monique had said the same thing to me before, like sisters. And I didn't have the boundaries. See, I didn't know about boundaries until you taught me way years later. And I think that's where it got kind of cloudy with our relationship, with me being the mom and having daughters. You know, I wanted to be their friend. And so this is what I'm going to say, that they just don't understand. Parents, mothers, it's okay to be your friend with your child, your daughter, especially girls, or even your son, but have that boundary, have that in place to know that maybe if you don't like them to cuss in front of you, you know, have them, you know, let them know I don't like that type of language. Let them know that you can't call me girl. Like Dontea, I call everybody, hey girl, and she doesn't like it. Sometimes it slips out, but she's having grace with me because it really keeps the boundary, you know, like I'm the mom and you're the daughter. Now I'm gonna tell her a little bit now about this. So my birthday was Saturday, and she didn't want me to come downstairs until she came down. You know, we came down together. Now, I can't call her girl. I have to call her Dontea. Well, I'm not going to say have to. If it slips out, it does. I'm still the mom. You know, have grace. So I get a card, and it says, to Nina. So I was like, I was a little confused. So explain to everyone why you put to Nina on there instead of to mom.
You know, it was just one of those moments in my mind where it made sense. I was like, okay, she's going to come down the stairs. When you have a card to someone, you say their name. Like, that's kind of what was, like, in my head. And there was a flash that was like, right, mom. And I was like, no, right, Nina, because when she comes down, I want her to see it. Like, it's your name. You know your name. You're going to see that. And as I'm thinking about it now, one, I can't remember the last time I even wrote you a card. And so if the last time I wrote you a card, I said, Mom, who knows when that was?
Yeah.
I could have been in college. I don't know. I have no idea. I literally don't know. But to me, like, I see, like, how it was, like, jolting to, but in my mind, I was like, okay, yeah, this makes sense.
Yeah, because it felt like a double standard to me because, like, I can't say, hey, girl, or girl, you know. To you, I have to say, you know, it's better for me to say Dontea. So we distinguish who's mom and who's daughter. And then for me to see Nina, that joggled my brain. I was like, this feels like a double standard here.
Yeah, it's the first time I'm hearing about it.
Yeah. So
on YouTube. Yeah. That's an example of how we communicate, right? I didn't know you felt that deeply about it. You would have said that then, it was a double standard. I'm like, oh, you know, I hear you. And we could have gone deeper in the conversation.
And we still can off camera, but it's not.
We're on.
It's not. So we're out here now. But no, it wasn't. It's not that serious of a point. It was just that seriously, it's not that serious. Oh, here we go.
But you're bringing it up, so
because
it's okay. That it's a serious point. It's okay. It's fine. Things happen.
All right. So before we wrap this
I knew it. Classic.
Okay. Is there anything you want to ask me about?
Let's do the real life example. Let's have the conversation.
Okay, let's have the conversation.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, let's do it.
Okay,
so I felt as though if you don't want me to call you, like when I talk to Kanika, I say, hey
all
girl.
types of things.
We're talking about you right now. We're talking about you right now. Kanika's not here. We're not interviewing Kanika. And it is funny what Dontea did say the other day, but we won't get into that. But with you, you know, there's boundaries where I address you as Dontea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you have many nicknames for me that don't get
favorite daughter
anymore.
number 3.
Yeah, of all things. But yeah, girl.
What other nickname?
Like my childhood nickname you called me. I do have a nickname that I don't want to say on YouTube because I don't want people calling me that. But
I don't even remember what that is.
Oh Lord.
I'm serious.
It's okay.
Dee Dee or something?
Oh my God, no.
Oh.
We'll talk about it.
Okay. Well, we're here now.
But it's not something I just name to people.
Okay.
Share with people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do anyone anybody know that nickname?
Yes.
Some people call you by it?
Yes, close people.
And I don't even know it.
You used to call me it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I want to know what that is.
Or maybe you did like once or twice. But people, yeah.
Okay, so anyway, what else?
Anyways, yeah. So, but for me, just calling me girl, it just says we're friends. And you've many times over the years, like, well, I'm not your friend, and I treat you because like you're your friend, and you go back to having hard boundaries, and you come back, and now we're friends again.
Right.
So I'm just like, don't call me girl if I'm not your friend.
Right.
Like we're not friends.
Right.
So yeah, I think I prefer that you don't call me girl because I don't want any type of easy route into getting us back to that space.
That's understandable.
Just casual. So with what you're saying, I don't really know what you're requesting, like with the Nina and the mom thing on the car, like how it made you feel.
So the way I looked at it, like I said, I felt as though it was a double standard. It was like I don't know, it felt like I was a stranger.
Oh, okay.
You know, like Nina. Like if you know, when we talk on the phone or something, you don't say, hey Nina, or hello Nina, or you text me, hey
unless I'm being funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've hardly ever done that.
I did it this trip. I'm like, Nina, 23rd and Jackson.
Well, okay, yeah. We're not gonna talk about that stuff either. She's bringing up all this stuff that has. We don't need to talk about that yet.
You said this is a real conversation.
This is a real conversation. You want to talk about 23rd and Jackson?
That's not my story.
We can bring my cousin in. He's here.
That's not my
story. He's here.
To tell.
I can interview him, and we can really go there. So, but the way I felt is as though that I was a stranger, because it wasn't like mom. And then you said, well, if I would have saw mom on the card, I might have overlooked it.
Yeah.
No, I would see mom before I see Nina. Because people can call me Nina all day long, and that don't mean that I'll answer to them.
That's true.
Because I don't, I don't associate with very many people.
Yeah.
It's just I'm very guarded.
Yeah,
so for you to have done that, that now I don't even think I would have kind of. It's not that I didn't accept it, but I would have still felt the same way if any of you guys would have did that. Hey, Nina.
Yeah, no, I get that. That makes sense now.
So when I saw Nina, I was like, I kind of overlooked it for a minute because you were recording me open. It's like, but then about 20 minutes later, I came back downstairs and I said, why the heck is this?
You're like, so we're personal now. And I
was
like,
I'm like, well, what? So now is it okay to call you girl? I mean, I was just thrown.
I get that.
I was just thrown. So.
Well, I won't do that again. I apologize. I don't want you to feel like I'm trying to distance that and not.
Okay, that's good. I appreciate
naming you as you are. I'm like super hot. I'm not that kid that's like, I don't call you by your first name in general.
Right.
I don't do that.
None of you guys have ever.
I don't know, but maybe it speaks to like other stuff that I'm not aware of right now. Right? So, but yeah, I got it. Thanks for sharing that with me.
See, and the good part of this is when I was getting ready to say, let's wrap this up. That was kind of a normal behavior of when I would get uncomfortable and didn't want to talk about something. I would say, okay, well, I'm getting off the phone or whatever else. So I'm glad that she wanted to continue because I didn't mind continuing. I just was like stuck. I didn't know what to say after that point. I was like, okay, do I really go there or do we just stop right here and we talk about it off camera? But that was perfect. That was perfect. So now I feel it's time we can wrap this up.
Let's wrap it up.
Yeah. So is there anything? Well, no. Let's do a little bit of telling about where you're at in life now and how you got there.
Let's see. So I have my own private practice online, which I am proud of.
What type of private practice?
It's an online therapy.
Okay. So you're a therapist.
I'm a therapist. I see individuals, mainly women who are struggling to set boundaries, women who constantly feel like they're in toxic relationships and unfulfilling relationships, and they just want to know how to like own their self-worth, set boundaries, be their authentic self, and still have love without feeling like we need to change ourselves for that. So that's what I do. I also have a podcast too.
So wait, let's go back to a therapist. Okay. Aren't there different types of therapists? So what type of therapist are you?
I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist.
Okay.
A little biased.
Okay, amongst your
peers.
No, amongst your podcast or
my podcast, like what's it called and everything?
Yeah.
So my podcast is called Situation Shit. Basically, it's kind of the same premise of what I do with therapy, the focus, the self-worth, the self-love, all that kind of stuff. But I get to share stories from my past. And I feel like I have a lot of, think of like Sex and the City, think of Harlem. I have a lot of crazy dating stories that I will share to be like, literally, listen to what I say, not what I do. Like, literally, don't do this.
Right.
And I'll talk about family stuff and work stuff, because anything could be a situationship type relationship.
That's right.
So I do that. Yeah.
So her podcast, when I first heard the name, you know, being the mom again, I was like, did she really say that? And then I had to revert. Now she's grown and, you know, it's okay. So tell us the name again, just so.
Situation shit.
Okay.
And the I in shit is an exclamation mark. So
let them know where they can find you at.
Anywhere podcasts are available. My Instagram is at Soirees in Therapy, SOIREES, Soirees in Therapy. And
I'll put the description down below.
Yeah, and then Situationship with Dontea on YouTube.
Wonderful. She's come a long way. A long way. Do you have any plans for short-term plans, long-term plans, or what is your next mountain to climb?
Honestly, I'm really trying to regroup what I want to do. I've been a therapist for about 11 years now. And so I'm getting into coaching. I'm playing around with the idea of maybe hosting retreats. I would really love to have live shows with the podcast. Honestly, I just want to like see like where my mind and where God takes me, because I want to, I feel like things are shifting. I want to, you know, I've baked my whole life and I haven't been baking for years because of the overworking and the stress and everything. And I want to get back to baking. I want to get back to making like cocktails and stuff. And,
yeah. She is a great mixologist. Believe that. She is.
Yeah. So,
especially if you're not a drinker. Oh.
So that's what I'm trying to. I'm just trying to find who I am today, what she likes, what she really enjoys. So
that's good. Well, you're on a good path. You seem very happy, comfortable, and we've been getting along really good. So
we've had sticky conversations, but because of our growth, we've been able to work through it.
Oh, so it was so sticky that I didn't even know it was sticky.
I said it. We've had things where I needed to share something with you that I didn't appreciate. You had a question for me. Okay. And so we talked about it. Versus something comes up, it's a blow up, and now we have to like separate. Yeah. But we like work through it. I think that's great. We did that so good that I didn't even know I did that. Look at me. Oh, look at me. Bye. Yeah, high five to the growth. Yes. So anyway, this is going to wrap up my podcast. They Just Don't Understand, hosted by Nina Mitchell. And I really do appreciate you tuning in to listen to another interview, especially with my daughter, favorite. Now, I call them all favorites because they used to, when they were younger, they would say, who's your favorite? And I said, I don't have favorites. And I still don't. And so they're all named favorite daughter number 1, favorite 2, favorite 3, favorite 4. So this is favorite 3, and we'll get to the other favorites later on in life, and hopefully we'll have all the favorites together, and maybe even the grandkids together, and just see how it goes from there. So again, thank you for tuning in to my YouTube channel, and hope to see you soon. Oh, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Take care until next time. Bye-bye.